Hey, you ever feel disconnected from the life you envision? You ever feel disconnected from the life you dream of? Or do you ever feel stuck, unfulfilled, or unmotivated? I know that I was recently going through a period where I felt extremely overwhelmed and unsettled. I don't know if you can relate to that. Do you ever feel like you're capable but unfulfilled? Or do you ever feel stuck in a rut? Worse, do you ever feel hopeless, disconnected from your best self or your best life? Well, today is an exciting day because today is going to be a powerful, life transforming session. Today is going to be the day where your dream life becomes your real life. Why is that? Because not only are we going to identify why you may feel disconnected from your destiny, we're also going to go through, today is interactive. So we're going to walk through the 7 steps to making your dream life your real life. So today, by the end of this session, we're going to complete 7 steps that take the destiny, the vision that God has written on your heart and actually make it your real life. So this is exciting. Once you complete these 7 steps, your life is going to immediately be different because when you wake up, you're going to wake up with clarity. When you wake up, you're going to wake up with energy. Most powerfully, when you wake up, you are going to wake up aligned, already repositioned with the life that is truly your destiny. And you're going to be living that life out day after day. So, like I said, today is going to be interactive. So you're not just listening to me. We're going to go through the steps together. I want you to pause this video, grab a notebook, paper, something to write with. And I want you to write it down. I know you can do it on your phone or a tablet, but there's a reason that I'll explain later why it's important for you to actually pause the video, grab a notepad, or grab, at least grab some paper and a pen or a pencil, and then come back to me, and then we're going to get right into these 7 steps. So go ahead, press pause. I'm waiting. Okay, I'm assuming that you pressed pause and that you came back. So without further ado, let's get right into these 7 steps. But wait, let me introduce myself. For those of you who may not have met me before, my name is Shelomith, and I am extremely excited to welcome you to this. You are in for a real treat. Now, for those of you who have the pen, the paper, and you're ready for us to go through these 7 steps, I want you to write down step number 1. Step number 1 is to reconnect. The first step to instantly transforming your life into the life that you dream of, the life that you envision, the life that you're yearning for, you have to reconnect. So write that down. Step number 1 is to reconnect. Now let's go through this. I want you to reconnect with your thing. I call it your thing. Think back to when you were a kid, when you were younger. What did you love to do? Like, what would you get lost in doing? What were you naturally good at? What was that thing that your family would identify? Like, man, you're just naturally good at that. What was it? What did you love? Like, what would you lose yourself in? And you can spend hours doing this thing, and they would have to literally pull you away from it. What was that? Was it singing? Was it writing? Was it helping your mom in the kitchen? Was it cooking? Was it organizing? Was it counting money? Was it playing with numbers? Was it playing with Legos, Play-Doh? Like what was your thing? I want you to pause the video and I want you to take a few moments and I want you to go back and I want you to write down. It may be a few things for you, right? And some of you may be so disconnected that you have to ask someone close to you, a big brother or little brother, or brother, sister, aunt, someone family, someone close. You may have to ask someone, what did I used to do or what did I used to love to do? Because sometimes we're so disconnected, we don't even remember what it was. But if you can remember, pause the video and takes a moment to write down what you absolutely used to love to do. So take a few minutes, Don't let it take more than 5 or 10 minutes. Pause the video and then come back. Okay. I'm assuming that you paused the video and that you came back. Now I want you to look at those things. Some of you may remember, you may be very clear. Like for me, there were a few things I like to do. I was always starting a business or a lemonade stand or a club, right? I was always doing that. I was always singing. I was always songwriting. And I love journals. Like I would always journal. So those were like the 3 or 4 things that I absolutely used to love to do. So my list would be 4 things that were strong. As kids, there's a lot of things, but those were my strongest, which brings me to my next point. Now I want you to look at that list and I want you to narrow it down to 1 or 2 things. Put a star next to the 1 or 2 things that were the strongest. If you can narrow it down to one, that's cool, but sometimes you'll have two that go hand in hand. So for me, out of starting clubs, starting businesses, singing and songwriting, I have 4. My 2 dominants were singing and songwriting. Those were the 2 that I got the biggest charge from, that I would just lose myself in, immerse myself in. So, what are your 1 or 2? Again, pause the video, put a star next to the dominant 2, and then I want you to come back. Okay, I'm assuming that you paused the video and that you actually put a star next to your dominant 2, or you reached out to somebody to help you remember. So, why is this important? This is important because what you naturally are good at, the things that you naturally gravitate towards, are not happenstance. They are not random. They are not by chance. They are on purpose by design. Here's the thing that I don't want you to sleep on. You may have heard it, but I want you to really, really hear me. God specifically created you to do a specific thing. So much so that when you were in your mother's womb, He literally hand engineered, bioengineered, fashioned you, your mind, your brain, the way you think, your personality, your tendencies, your strengths, your weaknesses, your physicalities. He literally made every detail of you to do a certain work, to do a certain thing. The reason you naturally gravitate towards it is because not only did He give you the natural ability and inclination to do it, but He also put an internal compass in your heart that pulls you, a magnetic pull that pulls you towards that thing. Observe kids. Kids naturally do what they are designed to do. It's life that beats it out of us and makes us confused about who we are and what we're designed to do. Because over time, what happens is you have messaging that comes in like, well, you have to do what's responsible. You have to do what financially makes sense. You have to make sure all of those things are the things that strips away or makes you feel as if you have to abandon who God created you to be, and you don't. What God created you to do, it is not just a matter of you doing it because it makes you feel good. It's bigger than you doing it because it impacts the world. It's so big. It's the essence of who you are. Me as a singer, as a songwriter, those 2 dominant things, when I sing and I songwrite, it's like putting a flower in sunlight and giving it water. I come alive. You come alive when you do your thing. On the flip side of that, if I go days, weeks, months, years without singing and songwriting, I will start to feel like a flower that is withering. I don't know why I'm not motivated. I don't know why I feel a constant depression. I don't know why I feel empty. But the reason is because I'm not singing and I'm not songwriting. When you don't do the thing that God created you to do, God put a compass, a barometer, a metric inside of you that sounds off alarms. Your depression, your sadness, your lack of motivation, it's not something to move away from, it's something to listen to. And it's something to investigate, to figure out, why do I feel this way? I believe one of the number one reasons A lot of us are suffering from feeling disconnected from the life that we always dreamed of, disconnected from the feelings that we want to feel. A lot of us are starving to feel motivated, starving to feel happy and excited about something, starving to feel that excitement for life we once had as kids. And we will never feel it until we go through these 7 steps. But the first one is reconnecting with who you are and what you were created to do. You have to carve out time to sing, to write, to speak, to play with Legos, to play with Play Doh, to organize, to cook, whatever your thing is, it is a life necessity. It is your life necessity that you carve out time to do that. All right. So, what I want you to do as another part of this exercise, I need you to take the whatever it is you wrote down, and I need you to commit to at least 10 to 20 minutes a day where you commit to doing that thing. Don't suffocate it. Don't try to turn it into a business plan. Don't try to turn it into a marketing plan. Don't try to turn it into a social media ploy to get follows and likes. This is just about you reconnecting with what God has created you to do. You will never be fully aligned with joy, peace, happiness, and all the things you yearn for when you are misaligned from the assignment on your life. Jeremiah chapter 1, verses 4 and 5 says, Then the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Before I formed thee in the belly, I knew thee. And before thou comest forth out of the womb, I sanctified thee and ordained thee a prophet unto the nations. Listen to this again. He's saying, before I formed you in the belly, I knew you. And before you came forth out of your mother's womb, I sanctified thee and ordained thee to be a prophet. Jeremiah is not the only person who God predestined a work for. God predestined and God fashioned us and formed us and ordained all of us to do something before we were even conceived, while we were in our mother's womb. Why do you think some people can sing and some people cannot? Why can some people draw and some people can't? Why is it that some people are phenomenal cooks and some people you don't want to let them in the kitchen? Some people are amazing with numbers and some people struggle with math. Why is that? Because we were all specifically fashioned to do something. Don't take it lightly. So, step one is to reconnect with your thing. All right. So these 7 steps are broken up into 7 different videos so that it's easy for you to digest. As we move on to step one is important, right? But you can't have step one without the other steps. And most importantly, you can't have step one without step two. Because once you reconnect with your what, so once you reconnect with what you are created to do, the second thing is you have to reconnect with why. Not your why. Because a lot of times we hear people say, well, you have to have a big enough why. Listen, I got a secret for you. Your why, your why needs to be the why. And most people have a why, but they don't have the why. Here's evidence of this. I don't want to get far ahead, but just to give you a precursor to step number 2, we witness a lot of people who are connected with their what? They know their talent. They know that they're a singer, a songwriter, a dancer, a politician, an athlete. And we witness people, celebrities, who are fully aligned with their why. With their what. They know what they are created to do, and they're fully immersed in it. But we also see a lot of them are still depressed. A lot of them still suffer with drug addictions, alcohol addictions, addictions, substance abuse. A lot of them still suffer with mental health. A lot of them are still suicidal because they know their what. And some of them may even have identified a why. But when you see a person who is immersed in their what and they are not aligned with the why, you still see issues. So we're going to talk about that next. That's step number 2, which is identifying the why. But first, go ahead and complete step number 1. So step number 1 is to reconnect with your thing, reconnect with your gifts, your talents, right? So that's step number 1. And step number 1, you should have number 1 written down in your notebook. It should say reconnect. And then under that, you should have written what your dominant gifts, passions, the thing that you lose time in. And then you should have narrowed those down to 1 or 2, right? And the other part of this step 1 of reconnecting is for you to commit to and carve out time where you spend 10 to 20 minutes a day doing that thing, and it's non-negotiable. It has to be blocked in, just like like you go to work from a certain time. This time of you reconnecting also has to be blocked off. So complete step 1. That ends this video, which is step 1, and then we're going to move on to step 2, which is you have to align with the why. Not your why, but align with the why you were created to do those things. So go ahead, complete step 1, and I will meet you in the second video for step number 2.